Welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at a serious topic, the top 10 fastest collapsing countries in the world right now. These are nations where daily life has become a struggle. Economies are breaking down, governments are losing control, and millions of people are suffering. Let's dive straight into the list. Number 10, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe was once considered a breadbasket of Africa. Its fertile lands used to feed much of the region, and the economy was relatively strong. But decades of political mismanagement have left the country on the brink of collapse. Hyperinflation has wiped out savings, with prices doubling sometimes in just weeks. The local currency has collapsed so badly that many people now prefer using US dollars or South African rand just to buy daily goods. Unemployment remains extremely high, and basic services like electricity and clean water are unreliable. Many young Zimbabweans are leaving the country, searching for better opportunities in South Africa or abroad. Unless major change happens, Zimbabwe risks sliding even further toward total economic ruin. Number 9. Lebanon. Lebanon's collapse is often described as one of the worst financial disasters of modern history. Since 2019, the Lebanese pound has lost more than 95% of its value. Banks froze people's accounts, businesses shut down, and the middle class has been almost completely destroyed. On top of the economic crisis, Lebanon has no fully functioning government. Political parties are deeply divided, often paralyzing the state. The 2020 Beirut port explosion, one of the largest non-nuclear blasts ever recorded, became a symbol of this failure, killing hundreds and leaving thousands homeless. Power cuts last for most of the day. Hospitals struggle to keep the lights on, and doctors are leaving the country in huge numbers. What makes Lebanon's situation especially tragic is that it was once known as the Switzerland of the Middle East. Today, it stands as an example of how corruption and weak governance can destroy a nation almost overnight. Number 8. Democratic Republic of the Congo, or DRC. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is a country of contradictions. It is one of the richest nations in the world in terms of natural resources, yet it is also one of the poorest and most unstable countries on Earth. For decades, conflict has plagued the nation, especially in the east. Armed groups battle for control of mining areas, exploiting resources and fueling violence. Millions of people have been displaced, and entire communities live in constant fear of attacks. The central government in Kinshasa has limited control over much of the countryside. Corruption is widespread, and infrastructure is almost non-existent. Despite years of international peacekeeping, the DRC remains trapped in cycles of conflict and poverty. For ordinary people, survival depends more on humanitarian aid than on their own government. Number 7. Haiti. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, and it is now on the edge of complete collapse. Armed gangs control large parts of the capital, Port-au-Prince. They run checkpoints, demand ransoms, and terrorize the population. The government is powerless to stop them. Public services barely function. Schools are closed, hospitals lack medicine, and clean water is hard to find. On top of this, natural disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods repeatedly devastate the country, making recovery nearly impossible. Haiti is a heartbreaking example of a state that has lost almost all control. For many Haitians, migration is the only hope of survival. Number 5. Venezuela. Not long ago, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America. Today, it is in deep collapse. Over-reliance on oil, corruption, and mismanagement destroyed the economy. Hyperinflation made the currency worthless. At one point, prices doubled every few weeks. More than 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country, creating one of the largest migration crises in the world. Those who remain face shortages of electricity, water, and healthcare. Venezuela has gone from prosperity to poverty in just a few decades, a warning of how fast a resource-rich nation can fall when corruption takes over. Number 4. Sudan. Sudan is being torn apart by a brutal civil war. Fighting between the national army and paramilitary groups has destroyed cities and displaced millions. The war has created famine conditions in several regions. Food is being used as a weapon of war, and aid agencies warn that millions could starve. Hospitals have been bombed, schools destroyed, and neighborhoods emptied. Sudan has faced instability before, but the current conflict has pushed it to the very edge. Unless peace is restored soon, Sudan could become a completely failed state.
Number 4. South Sudan. South Sudan became independent in 2011 with high hopes, but almost immediately the country fell into conflict. Civil war, tribal violence, and corruption have left South Sudan in ruins. Roads, schools, and hospitals are destroyed or never built. Despite oil wealth, the economy depends almost entirely on foreign aid. Floods caused by climate change have made farming nearly impossible, worsening hunger. Millions depend on food assistance just to survive. South Sudan is one of the most fragile countries in the world, showing how quickly hope can turn to despair when leaders fail their people. Number 3. Syria. Syria has been at war for more than a decade, and the destruction is staggering. Entire cities like Aleppo and Homs are in ruins. Millions of Syrians have fled as refugees, while millions more remain displaced inside the country. The economy is in free fall, jobs are scarce, the currency has collapsed, and food insecurity is worse than ever. The government controls some areas, opposition forces control others, and foreign powers influence the rest. This patchwork of authority makes rebuilding almost impossible. For ordinary Syrians, life is about survival. Food, water, and electricity are limited, and peace still feels far away. Number 2. Yemen. Yemen's collapse is described as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. Years of civil war, fueled by regional rivalries, have left the country in ruins. Hospitals lack medicine, electricity is scarce, and clean water is almost impossible to find. Blockades and constant fighting have created severe shortages of food and fuel. Millions of Yemenis are on the brink of famine. Despite peace talks, the conflict drags on and much of Yemen remains outside government control. For many, the future looks hopeless. Number 1. Somalia. At number 1 is Somalia, the most fragile state in the world. For more than 30 years, Somalia has faced conflict, famine, and lawlessness. The government controls only parts of the capital, Mogadishu. Militants and clan leaders dominate the rest of the country. Al-Shabaab continues its deadly attacks, keeping the nation unstable. Meanwhile, repeated droughts leave millions without food. Despite decades of international help, Somalia remains trapped in the cycle of violence, poverty, and weak governance. Sadly, collapse here feels endless. Final thoughts. So, what do these 10 countries teach us? Collapse is rarely caused by a single event. It's usually a mix of war, corruption, weak institutions, economic failure, and humanitarian disaster. But collapse isn't always permanent. History shows that with peace, reforms, and outside support, nations can recover, although it often takes years or even decades. These stories remind us how fragile societies really are and why strong leadership and resilience matter so much. Thank you for listening. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe for more content about countries around the world. And let us know in the comments which country you'd like us to cover next.